where the Ouija board pointed 3 days later from when they played it. And it was exactly the same day where he drowned and his body was never found. My name is E.T.
My name is Raihan.
My name is Wayne.
My name is Kyle.
And this is Tales From Incredible Tales, a show where we look back at the popular MediaCorp horror series.
Joining us for this episode is Eugene Toh, better known as E.T., co-host of Radio Paranormal Singapore. RPS details, discusses and dissects true paranormal encounters and ghost stories, providing reasonable and conventional explanations to the most extraordinary experiences where possible. E.T. was also a member of Singapore Paranormal Investigators. Welcome to the show, E.T. Thanks for joining us.
Nice meeting you guys.
Nice meeting you too, man.
Yeah. You want to investigate here? See here got ghosts or not?
In fact, I've been here before because I think one of my friend has a factory here selling furniture somewhere.
Were you asked to investigate at the factory?
No, so I came and I told him some parts feel a bit weird.
Wait, but you use science, what? But you also use your feelings, lah.
Yes, because there's some things which cannot be explained by science. So majority of my investigations can be explained by science, but I do have to admit some things I just can't explain.
In every episode of Tales from Incredible Tales, we explore a different theme and how it ties back to a classic Incredible Tales episode.
So for this episode, we're looking at trying to find the truth behind the supernatural. This episode's theme was inspired by The Spirits of Glass from season 6. Because most Filipinos believe that disturbed spirits could follow you home, 3 friends were warned not to perform the ritual Spirit of the Glass inside a haunted building. What happens, however, when the friends don't heed those warnings?
Let's take a look.
You weren't supposed to push the glass.
Oh, what? And you can use words like netherworld. Nothing, sir. Sorry. We were just like...
I think the scary part is the security guard come on in. Hey, what are you doing here?
I hadn't seen this episode for the longest time, so I was watching it. I was like, and the security guard came out. I was like,
So, based on this episode, right, it's Ouija board.
Yep.
So, have you ever played a Ouija board?
Okay, that's something I always frown upon doing paranormal research. Even in my days in SPI, I said, because I used to be in charge of the gadgets, and at the point of time I was the president, right? So whenever they want to conduct an experiment on that, I say, I do not authorize this, but if you want to do it for research purpose, it's fine. To me, it feels like you're conjuring something that you don't really know. For me, my main purpose in investigation is more to see if I can explain by science, but not to conjure stuff that, might cause harm to people. And in one very particular investigation, I think it was documented in a documentary that SPI had as well. It was a Ouija board being played at the German Girl Temple in Pulau Ubin. So what happened was, and it was even more complex than this, because to me, the English Ouija board is easy to con, because you know how the alphabets go. Technically, Chinese is not really an alphabet.
Yeah.
So they actually use a Chinese Ouija board. And they sat at a table with 3 of them, 3 investigators, and they left one seat empty. So they were asking questions. And one of the particular question was, because it started moving and started replying, I can't remember what, reply on the gender, but one of the question was, where are you now? It gave the location, probably one of the directions, east or west or something like this. Sorry, my Chinese sucks. But so that direction was exactly where the empty seat was. And that totally freaked everyone out. Thankfully, because there was a Taoist priest there, they managed to conduct a ritual and cleanse everyone.
Yeah, so for those that don't know, right, the Chinese Ouija board is very different because Chinese character, there's like the simplified version and there's like the harder version, and there's so many characters, right? So what we call it 碟仙. So it's like a coin, Yeah, you trap the spirit in the coin, then you move it around. Sometimes it's pencil also. So a lot of students would play this game as like a courage thing. So they play in the classroom at night. Then of course things happen lah. And there's a Japanese version also, quite similar in that sense lah. So yeah, we were told not to play it. Yeah, so don't play Ouija board, guys. Yeah,
I'm not sure whether you guys remember in season 1 I told about the story of my friends who played that in school.
Yeah. And kena lah.
Yeah. So no, please don't.
Yeah. So ET, you had another story about Ouija board.
I've got this friend. She apparently has the yin yang yen, and I know her from JC. So it's quite freaky lah. Sometimes like we take bus together, and then she'll like, "Hey ET, yeah, I'll tell you later." You know, so she's that kind of person. And then later she tells you like, "Yeah, I saw hundreds of hands trying to grab your shadow." I don't know how that makes me feel better lah, but I think she just kept quiet. So anyway, she told me this story. They decided one evening to play a Ouija board. The difference was it was a satanic Ouija board.
Oh my God.
It is not something that's common. Usually, you use a coin or like in the video was a glass.
Yeah.
This one is a saucer. And everyone needs to prick their finger, press out some blood, and then you put it in the saucer.
Oh my God.
So if someone, so most of the time, if you know the way I analyze stories, people tell me the story, I want an actual witness.
Yeah.
She was playing it. Okay, so she put her finger there along with, I think, 2, 3, or maybe 4 other friends. And when they put it there, she said it was the most amazing sensation because it feels like something was sucking the blood out of your finger, but the saucer was never filled with blood. So when they asked the question, and there were some rules lah, typical Ouija board, there are certain rules where you don't ask, like for example, when am I going to die? So one of the friend, I don't know why, he asked that question. And it pointed to the date that was about 3 days later. And after that, the saucer actually shattered and they were all cut on their hands. And later on, upon realizing it, they thought it's just a normal cut. My friend told me, she said she only realized a couple of days later or even a week later that they were cut exactly at the lifeline on their palm.
Oh.
So not thinking of anything because they thought, okay, let's just not tell anyone this story and everything. 3 days later, not remembering exactly, because at that part, traumatized, they can't remember the date and stuff. They went to Pasir Ris Beach to just chill and everything. So my friend is a non-swimmer. So she was just chilling by the beach. And then the guy that asked the question was the first one to get changed. So he was chilling there while they jaga the bags, while the rest went to, the toilet to get changed. So that friend who asked the question went to swim first. So he was swimming and everything. Then suddenly he had some difficulty. And he started screaming to friend, "Hey, help, help, help." But my friend can't do anything because she can't swim. And before the rest could come out, he drowned. She told me that the naval divers came and they could never find his body.
Oh, God.
And then it was only there where they were gathering. They realized that was the exact same. You see, now I'm telling you the hair at the back of my neck standing. It was the exact same day where the Ouija board pointed 3 days later from when they played it. And it was exactly the same day where he drowned and his body was never found.
Is that the reason why is this story the catalyst of why you are against this?
Not really. Like I said, I always want to go out there and try and see if I can understand it by science, because I do have a theory of what paranormal entities are. But doing something like that, you tend to conjure stuff.
Yeah.
And most of the time, because of many documentation, right, it's always that of something negative and sinister than something positive. So that's why I'm against it, because you're conjuring stuff instead of trying to investigate why is that particular place haunted.
So kids, please do not play with Ouija board. It's not fun. My reason is slightly different from his. I've never played it. I would never play it. It's because I believe that it is not calling upon the spirits. It's calling upon demonic energies. How can something, like as simple as a piece of paper have so much power to call beyond the veil, right? So I think it's demonic. And the fact that when they played that game, blood was drawn.
Yeah.
Blood, right, is a binding object.
Yeah.
It's used by both dark forces and light forces also. I think you're one of the few guests, right, to give us such a hard-hitting story from the start of the episode. Like, wow, damn. I thought it was like, maybe gonna possess or something. Then, woo.
Yeah. I'm quite sure this is the first time where the episode started and all of us just like,
Right.
Oh, really?
E.T., is it one of those stories, right, that to this day you still feel like, wow, when you talk about it, it still gives you the creeps?
Actually, there are many because it's been 20 plus years that I've done investigation. And there are quite a number of stories that I cannot explain. Although majority of it, I wouldn't use the word debunk, because when I use debunk, people get angry, So, but I always try to explain by science. Because the reason why I do that is not to make people upset, but I just want the community to know that, hey, there is something we cannot explain. But if I can explain, then okay, put it aside. Let's look for something else that's even more interesting. I'll give you an example. In the past, people used to worship the sun because they used to think it's God, because they didn't really understand. But if we can get closer and we all join forces to find out if certain things we can explain by science, then maybe it's not that scary. Many a times we say, oh, it looks like a humanoid and everything, but is it really that?
To clarify further, the purpose of you trying to find the scientific reason is that so that there is a bit of calamity for certain things that can be found.
It can be explained, yes.
But of course, there are certain things where you cannot find the answer. Then it would be something that is supernatural.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, personal thoughts are, it's like, I used to think that the role of supernatural investigators are redundant until I started doing horror. After doing horror content for 5 years, then of course meeting you and Eugene Toh from Supernatural Confessions, I realized that actually is needed because there needs to be proof. Or there needs to be some science before you actually seek religious help. And certain religion, they ask you for proof. Show me first. Show me. And it's a little bit like doctor lah. You observe 2 days, then you come back and you let me know. Then if really escalate, then I will come and help you. Something like that. So I think the advancement of technology allows us to do that. Then I think there is still a need for that. So actually, they are the brave souls. They'll say, oh, this house haunted. Okay, we spend 1 night here. We document. Then we will present you the evidence. Then you do what you must.
Now it gives me another perspective because like what you've mentioned, like earlier on, we've always been hearing about stories of people telling ghost stories, etc. But it's rarely that we come into context of how do we differentiate that this is science or this is horror. And I think it really would help those people out there who maybe are experiencing some things to maybe look at both ways. Before they come into a conclusion.
One thing I just like to highlight is that many a times we don't realize how psychology affect us and how we see things. And one thing is not even your own psychic. It is external factors. One of the reasons why we employ EMF meter is to detect fluctuations in EMF. I have spoken to a neurosurgeon before while on a dive trip. I really wanted to find out because many times there have been articles by paranormal investigators that EMF is so important. I want to know why is EMF so important. So apparently when there's high fluctuation of EMF, which is electromagnetic field, it makes your mind perceive things which is not there. Very high levels of EMF makes your brain see sparks and light. And it's not there. It just makes you feel that way. Which is why if you really go read up on many UFO sightings, many of these people stay near power lines. Which is why if you hear some of our investigation stories on both platforms, Supernatural Confessions as well as Radio Paranormal Singapore, I always ask, okay, this thing happened, are they staying near a power station? Even now when we stay in HDB, most of our power lines are underground, but you still have power station. And now even more so, I would think there will be more paranormal stories because of a lot of EV charges coming up. And the high level of EMF, right, causes us to perceive things which are not there. Although there's another theory on the supernatural side that entities are attracted to places of high EMF.
So that you've mentioned about, the device that you use, do you usually use modern devices to do investigation, or do you also use supernatural devices? Okay,
so generally what I always use are things that engineers use, because that is the most accurate device. Because if you follow science, then certain things, you just need to follow that. I know that there are some investigation groups or most people out there, because of content, they tend to use devices that tend to flare up more. There are certain devices, and Eugene Toh will always argue with me, that even if you receive a WhatsApp, it will set off certain meters. So with a real tri-field electromagnetic field reader, it only kind of shows you a reading when there's a high fluctuation, which is the exact thing that I want to find out. And to be honest, my sort of investigation is very boring. It's not like what you see in, overseas and stuff like that. Maybe at the later part of the show, I can share with you one story where my meters actually went off and I was so excited. And, I don't know, everyone was scared, but I was just so excited because I've never seen this happen, because over the years, it just doesn't set off our meters. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
I want to ask you on your perspective, right, of spirit boxes.
Sorry?
Spirit boxes.
Okay.
What do you
Spirit
think
boxes
of it?
is the one that generates sound, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that the one?
Is it the one that
Like
cycles through radio?
Yeah, it's like
frequencies?
it's basically like shh, then you will cycle through the frequencies and then pull whatever's like we'll have random phase. So people will use it, on YouTube. They'll use it.
Yeah.
Are you here? What's your name? Then you will like generate some sound.
Correct.
For me, as a filmmaker, I think it's just trying to grab any frequency that's nearby to generate a sound. That's the technology I see. So I don't believe in it. But I wanted to ask your perspective on it.
Okay, so I guess, I'm sure you guys are much younger than me. So the younger generation, right, will probably believe a spirit box a lot more. Where I come from, what was our audio last time? Radio, right?
Yeah.
So we actually go through frequencies. That's what a spirit box is. It's picking up radio waves of various walkie-talkie radio stations. And this is the thing about our mind. You remember those days where you used to go, your school camp and everything, and then your seniors tell you ghost story, and then you go for the ghost hunt. What's in your mind? You expect to see something, right?
Yeah.
So when you do an investigation, and if you really want content and if you really want something to happen, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Whatever that you hear, that gibberish, your mind will automatically fill that up and you will hear stuff. You remember in those days where we used to do mathematics and you do the 10-year series. After a while, you see A, you keep doing A plus B equals C, right? They give you A and C, automatically you know what B is because your mind is that amazing, it fills that void. So like what he said, with the spirit box, you tend to hear certain things and you interpret what it is. Yeah, so to me, I don't really use that for investigation. Yeah.
Like I mentioned it before, like cameras are so good, right? These days you can see in the dark, literal dark. Like even without light, you can see it. You just need a specialized camera. Until the day, right, I see an actual, spirit captured on camera, on an 8K camera, high resolution. It's very hard to convince me. Like it's really, really very hard. Because the cameras already can, like back in the day, like, okay, DV cams, tapes. Yeah, then don't say that. But this one is so high resolution. Yeah. But I still cannot catch.
I like how you're coming from a filmmaker perspective.
Yeah.
Because for me, myself, as an audience, when I watch all these paranormal investigations and they use spirit box, etc., it's very hard for me to believe. Because I'm like, are you sure that is the thing? Or is it just basically, transmissions, frequencies, etc.? So Radio Paranormal Singapore tries to find reasonable explanations for supernatural stories. Why is rationalizing ghost stories or weird phenomena important to you guys?
Okay, I think it's more important to me. One thing is the message I send across. For example, I want the young to realize that there are certain things you need to explore on your own. Doesn't mean that old wives' tale means you need to listen. Yeah. For example, so that's why honestly, my late mom, she every time cannot tahan me because I needed to explore certain things. So she'll tell me you cannot swim during Hungry Ghost Festival. You sit under the table, you become stupid. Don't cut your nails at night. But all this can be explained by science. Okay, except the Hungry Ghost one. So in the past, we don't have artificial lighting. So obviously, if you cut your nails at night, you might cut yourself.
Yeah.
You sit under the table, your mom calls you, you kanchong, you stand up. Of course, you get stupid, you hantam your head, right? So my mom said cannot swim, right? Hungry Ghost Festival. I actually went to dive during the Hungry Ghost Festival. Hoping to see entities and stuff and to see whether underwater, is there anything different? Because more people do paranormal investigation terrestrially on the land. No one does underwater. So I even went, this one was in all due respects. I just so happened I went because after the tsunami, air tickets were cheap. So I decided to explore Phuket. I actually went diving to see if I could see anything interesting because everyone says, oh no, when something bad happens, there's... Honestly, it was clean, just like anywhere else. So my reason for that is to send a message that not everything that someone tells you need to believe, and you need to get scared. Find out yourself first. That's why in the start, my son used to listen to our podcast, but after a while, now he's a bit older, he's P4, he starts to get a bit more imaginative and he gets scared of the podcast. But before that, he could and he going to argue with me. So I tell him, hey, you better not do this now. I tried to tell him over, so he said, no, at the time your podcast, you say this one is because. So that is my focus, that not everything is hantu. Try and find out for yourself and you make the decision. Is it really hantu or not? Yeah.
Interesting.
Wow. So between RPS and SPI, you must have investigated and studied countless of places and stories. In your experience, how often is there a reasonable explanation to the supposedly unexplained?
Okay, so most of the time I can explain it by science. But I do have to admit that there are certain stories that I just can't explain by science. So maybe I share with you this story. Many, many years ago, actually it's not too far from where your studio is. I think this was in 2002. Okay, so it was at Red Hill. It was a block opposite the Red Hill Market. So apparently that block was going for en bloc. So someone wrote into then when I was with SPI, he said, hey, most of the people have shifted out, but there's still some people left. The unit above this guy, the informant, has already shifted out. But every night, right, he can hear furniture moving and fingernails scratching on the floor.
Wow.
So okay, let's I would be interested. So we went down, and at the point of time, I don't think I was the president yet. I was in charge of investigation. So I will bring my gadgets, make sure it's all charged, and plan how I should set up my gadgets. This being Singapore, in a HDB, we can't really barge in, so we had to put all our stuff outside. And interestingly, Discovery Travel Channel actually wanted to film the entire investigation, and they came along, and there was a documentary called Secret Singapore, I think, many, many years ago. So we set up the gadgets, I think about 8+. We interviewed the guy, set up the gadgets. So I had my, and that time, 20 years ago, our gadgets not so atas. So there was our usual hydrometer. It detects humidity as well as temperature and everything. So that's for us to gauge, to compare it with the surrounding environmental temperature and stuff, as well as pressure. We had a motion detector, EMF meter, and a camera. So in the past, those older flats, there's this aluminium window pane. We kind of pry it open and we put one camera there. Unlike nowadays, the cameras are so small, right? Where they plug that and then plug to a wireless transmitter, and then we had to sit by the staircase to observe. So we set up all these gadgets, and some of these gadgets were connected to lead acid batteries, so they can last for at least 48 hours. So we left them there and go away. The reason why is many times when you do paranormal investigation, you shouldn't be at where you set up your gadgets, because how the Chinese do believe that humans have this life force, what they call qi. And I realized where there is a lot of human life force, paranormal activity doesn't take place. So we have to move away and observe. It's just like setting out a trap for animals, right? You need to be away. So we are monitoring it from 8+. And, to the people watching this, you think paranormal investigation very exciting. We sat there for 5-6 hours. Nothing happened. I tell jokes until no more jokes already. Then we were hungry and everything, sitting, Singapore humid, right? We sat by the staircase, don't know what to do, look at each other. Then around 3:30 a.m., my motion detector went off. It is not so my motion detector, it's those, in the past, it was more for safety. When you put outside your tent, and then if something goes by, it goes off. So because the entire row had no humans there except us, because it was en bloc, nothing else could have set it off. It went this huge shrill. People kanchang, but I got excited. Wow, finally, I'm investigating for so many years. I never had something like that. I ran over to check on my gadgets. The first thing I realized was the hair at the back of my neck stood up. This happens when I do investigation at certain places and I feel that there's a sinister entity. So I ran there, and then I look at my gadgets. Wow, half my gadgets, the battery just went flat. And to me, it's wow, this is exactly what I've been reading all these past 10, 20 years of my life. It's happening. And then the entire camera crew ran over as well. And then I noticed this sweet smell. I said, guys, can you smell this sweet smell? They say, yeah, God. And obviously, after so many hours, I don't smell that sweet. And, that there was no perfume or what being sprayed around. Everybody could smell that same sweet smell. And then I was just checking my gadgets and everything. And sadly, being in Singapore, we can't barge in. Not like, overseas where you could, it gets more exciting. And then we were just like checking my data and everything. And then the lady that was monitoring the screen of the camera, she said, hey guys, the door inside is moving lah. Sadly, in Singapore, that's all we can do, right? Take back all your gadgets, analyze the data, and let's see whether we can have a scientific explanation for that. So we kept everything. I went home. Okay, my house, I live in a HDB. From the lift to my house is a very long corridor, and it can be quite dark because maisonettes tend to block out some lights. Yep. Just before I reached home, okay, now I tell you, my hair also stand a bit. When you take MRT during peak hour, the obnoxious fella standing so close to you, because you take your hand and cover your ears now, this way, that void of sound, someone is behind you. I had the exact same feeling. I turn around, nobody. I mean, I'm an investigator, but I'm also human lah. I also got a bit kanchong. I fumbled my keys, I went home, I showered, and I went to sleep. And then the next day, I woke up with a flu, which to me was, okay, that's normal, right? Because the past 2 nights before investigation, I was that time dating lah, so I think I went clubbing or what, not enough sleep. So I figured, okay lah, then I go see doctor, take medicine and everything. As the days went by, I got more and more sick. The medicine didn't seem to help. So to me, okay, the antibiotic didn't work. So I went to see a doctor for a second time. He gave me a stronger dose. That was about a week. At the start of the second week, I went to office. My ex-colleague came to me, hey, Eugene, not feeling? I said, yeah lah, this stupid flu, damn chalat lah. She said, it's not flu. I said, what? She said, the past 1 week, I noticed this small boy following you around in the office. My first reaction is, thank you. Why the past 1 week you never tell me? You went to one. So her explanation was, I wanted to ask the boy, why was it following you? But every time she approached, the boy disappears. And that's in line with what people believe, that these entities are afraid of people with the ability. So I said, so the next thing I asked her, okay, then how like that? She said, usually when attached to you, they will never leave you. Wow. Then I was like, wow, you win really long. And then I said, okay, so what should I do next? She said, okay, never mind. Okay, so at that point of time, I was a free thinker. I didn't have a religion. She was Catholic. She said, okay, never mind, don't worry. I will go to Novena Church and pray for you. I said, okay lah, I mean, what else can I do? She already said, attach to me. And so at the point of time, I kanchong already. But at the same time, I still believe in science lah, that I didn't sleep enough. So the days went by. That week, I had recurring nightmares. I was always walking towards a dark castle and all my friends are running out. And these are familiar friends. They're all running out. I'm the only fella stupid enough to walk in. And every day when I woke up, I felt weaker and weaker, like as if I ran a marathon like that. I feel so tired. It got to a state where I was coughing blood. When I coughed, you could see specks of blood on the tissue paper and even my hands. So I figured, okay, I'll see the doctor again. So this, I think, was on a Thursday. So I took the antibiotics, I went home to rest. On Friday, I woke up like a new man. I suddenly felt totally better. I said, yeah, this doctor steady lah, his antibiotics work, man. So to me, I just left it as that. I didn't get to see my colleague that day because I was on MC. Yep. Now, what was interesting was that evening, the informant that first told us that he could hear all these things, he said, hey guys, you know that day when you all left the investigation, the hauntings actually stopped. But last night, the hauntings came back again. So to me, the antibiotics work lah. But on hindsight, I think it was too much of a coincidence. So, earlier on you asked me, am I a believer or not? On this story, right, I'm sitting on the fence because I'm not sure if the antibiotic really worked. But maybe that small boy followed me for a school holiday for 2 weeks lah.
Whoa. What I'm curious is that, what did you guys do after that? You all go back again? Or you're like, I don't take this case anymore?
We didn't go back because I was a bit confused because I've never come across something like that. I do not know whether I should be scared or not. But one thing I know, if I told my parents, I'll get scolded like at that point of time.
Somehow you go home, eh?
Yeah. If I tell my parents, I tell my boss, all will get angry.
Why you never do the mama thing? Like go to mama before you go home?
I don't believe in all these things lah.
To release the bad juju.
Because I always feel that I can explain by science. Right? So
then just nice lah.
Yeah, so that's why I'm not sure lah. That's why I think antibiotic, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, actually maybe.
Yeah, but the weird thing is that you said that you felt someone behind you, right?
Yeah.
But he's a little boy. How can he be behind you? He must be
Exactly.
like under. Like,
I have no idea. That is exactly. I have no idea why it is. Yeah.
whoa.
That boy could have a lot of energy on him.
Can
And-
become tall.
No, you watch the show, right? Shutter. Maybe you're sitting on my shoulders. Lah.
Walao eh.
And that's why I always disturb my friends. That time when Shutter just came out, I say, bro, I noticed you and then got backache, right? You go and watch this show.
Oh my God, now that you say it. I mean, it's true. Maybe the boy was sitting on him.
No, maybe.
Yeah.
Now that you've explained to us about all this, I mean, it gives me more perspectives of things lah.
Yeah.
Of like, okay, next time if anything happens, don't just jump to conclusions. Investigate first. But why do you think that people are so easily triggered to say that, oh, this is supernatural instead?
Because of how superstition is. In the past, I think superstition was used to control behavior. Like your parents tell you don't go out late at night. Because why? They want you to stay at home and stuff like that, right? But humans being humans, we always want to know what that is, which I'm not allowed to. So yes, it's so here's the thing. So in the past, we used to conduct tours, right? So only later on that I learned when I did a tour for the Society of Tour Guides, they told me I was too scientific. So people go for ghost tours, they want to get scared.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, they want to hear the theory and everything, but I was too theoretical, right? That it was not scary. They say you got to hype it up a bit. And so that's what I think filmmaking is and everything. People want to believe.
Yeah.
I mean, which is exactly what, okay, honestly, in the past, my religion was X-Files when it first came out. And Mulder's poster was I want to believe.
Yeah.
And that was me. So I really want to believe. But if I want to believe, it cannot be just like that. I'm the kind, I need to know everything else. Okay, if I cannot explain, then maybe it is this.
Right.
Yeah, so that's how it is lah. Yeah.
So this question is for everyone. If you could prove the existence of one weird phenomenon, whether they are aliens or ghosts or anything unexplained, what will it be?
For me, it's alien. My ultimate belief is that perhaps ghost is a form of alien that we cannot see or actually understand. The science cannot allow us to understand at this current juncture. But aliens probably can.
Yeah. For myself, aliens as well. I'm really curious to know. There's this particular area in America, in the United States where
Area 51.
yeah, I'm like, I really want to know more about the place. Like, why do they block it off? And then they mentioned that they are doing some secret stuff there. I want to find out why. So aliens lah. So far, I mean, I've watched most alien videos. I don't see any aliens being visible. Especially if you talk about Singapore aliens. I'd rather believe in Kapi lah. You know, that kind of thing. So yeah, aliens. I want to know whether they really exist.
So for myself, later I'll speak a bit about aliens. That's why I'm ET, right? It is my theory on the supernatural. So, you always hear schools and army camps being haunted. Have you ever wondered why? Okay, so along with my theory of, especially of the story that I shared just now, my theory of entities or ghosts is that they're that of negative energy. So that's the soul that we have. When we pass on, the soul resides. Why? Because physics and science say that energy cannot be created or destroyed. Yeah. So why I think it's negative energy is because of this. Negative energy tends to draw positive energy because, opposites attract. Yeah. So that's why we have cold spots. Schools and army camps in a day, there's a lot of energy, a lot of positive energy, right? Yeah. So negative energy gets attracted. But at the same time, it's because human has this thing called a life force. It repels them at the same time. So it's like, they're being teased. They go there, but they cannot go in kind. But what happens after school and when the army boys book out? There's a sudden neutrality of energy. And that's where these entities can actually reside there. So they're not exactly what we think it is, like, ghosts and stuff, of how we, like Casper and stuff. They think of them as just energy, something we can't see, but makes our gadgets go off, and at the same time explain why certain hauntings takes place. Because they're actually an energy form that we cannot explain. Just like sun. Sun gives energy, right? But what is it? In the past, people never knew. Now we know it is. It's just burning ball of gas. And back to the topic on aliens. Yes, a bit like what Carl said. It might be something like that. But aliens, or whatever these celestial or astral beings are, we don't know. Maybe in the past, they were able to get all these energies, which we think are aliens, but maybe they are just astral traveling souls or energy that went through space and time to teach people exactly how, what we've learned all these years. That's my theory. Yeah.
I think I would want to know about the actual truth behind ghosts. And for me, it's more because I'm a scaredy cat. If I could make it tangible, if I could have a reason behind it, like you said, like if it's not ghost, it's energy, it's negative energy effect. That takes away the fear once you put in the logic down there. Suddenly it's explainable. There's very little unexplained. There's very little that's left up to the imagination. So me being a scaredy cat, I would just like that explained so that I can stop being afraid of ghosts. All right, so let's start to wrap things up with another morbid fact of the day. Thanks to Kyle.
So according to a 2021 poll, right, 1 in 5 American adults have said that they actually encountered a ghost. That means that if they were right, there are actually almost 50 million ghostly encounters in America. What do you think of that?
Do you know America is also one of the few places that you can buy an insurance to insure yourself against alien abduction?
Oh, what?
What?
Yep.
Nice.
So my point is this, no offense with any country and stuff like that, but because unlike maybe in Singapore where, we get information readily, you can see that in sometimes in some of the campaigns that they have, their, electoral and presidential campaigns, not everyone reads facts like the way Singaporeans read it. So sometimes a little belief, and then you have to understand the demographics as well. So the exact demographics will be interesting to know that is there a higher proportion in places where it is widely sparse, or is it in proportions where it's near Area 51 where everybody wants to believe? So that's me lah. I think that maybe there's a logical explanation more than, there's really hantu because 1 in 5. Yeah.
Actually, funnily enough, right, our own show, statistics, we are able to see from where our listeners are. And then we saw that statistically, we actually have like 40% American audience.
Oh, wow.
Which is very strange. Yeah. But I think half of them are from the Midwest. And when you're in the Midwest America, you're usually in like one of those lazy towns, or like your neighbor is like a few miles apart, one neighbor a few miles apart. So you have your own property. So I think you're more akin to have weird things happen, right? Like maybe your herd of cows disappeared, or like your dog disappeared, and then you find the body like the next day, like all chewed up by something that you cannot see. So that kind of thing. So you're more akin to. If you're in that zone, you are more akin.
Yeah. Just like when you're staying in kampong and then there's more stories because of kampong.
Exactly.
Situations lah.
Yeah.
But interestingly, Asia is a melting pot for ghosts. I think we have the most diverse number of entities that you can think of versus the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And to me, in my opinion, being on ghost tours overseas, I think Old Changi Hospital still marks the most haunted place.
One of the
places
best.
I've ever been. Yeah.
And we are making it astrology center. Yay! More hantu stories.
Oh yeah. I heard about that.
Let's go.
Right, so thank you for joining us, E.T. It's been great to have you.
Thank you for having me.
It's been really fun and very insightful.
I learned so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I can go investigate. No lah.
No.
Go alone, Carl. Okay, and thank you to all of you for tuning in to Tales from Incredible Tales. New episodes go up weekly on meWatch, meLISTEN, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
My name is E.T.
My name is Wayne.
My name is Kyle.
My name is Raihan, and we will see you next time.